Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Innocent Lives Foundation Fireside Chat for February 2026. I am, as always, your host here, Nick Kelly, aka Rev3 Dude. You can find me on Tuesday nights, usually playing games, but once a month we like to come invite somebody who is mission adjacent. And as you know, our mission is to protect kids because all kids deserve to lead innocent lives. And the way that we do that is the Innocent Lives Foundation is a non-vigilante organization that identifies anonymous child predators online, develops and delivers specialized training for law enforcement, and provides educational resources for parents, teachers, and guardians. You can find out more at innocentlivesfoundation.org. Let me see if I broke the commands this week. Nope, they work. Hot dog. I'm amazing. With me tonight, speaking of education resources, is Juke No, soon to be Dr. No, who is the outreach coordinator for Girls Who Code. Am I correct?
Yep, that's me.
Okay. Well, welcome. It's your show. Um, and we met at a conference last month. It's been a month. I didn't even know at this point. What was also attached? Oh, socials. Sorry, got to remember all three of my commands. Um, yeah, and we just kind of hit it off. And I've done some work with Girls Who Code back in my Cisco days, and so because you are you and you do what you do, I was like, hey, it would be perfect. Come on over and we'll talk about some Girls Who Code business. I know you have some actual slides, so I have to go to my other window and make sure that I allow you to share. There's so many windows open on here. I'm waiting for the computer to just go, you know what? Never mind. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your background. How did you get to Girls Who Code and what made you enthusiastic about like working with that organization?
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. My background is in engineering. I studied mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, and now I'm in biomedical engineering. And I've switched a lot of spaces because of different people I've worked with. And I think a lot of spaces I've worked with are very homogenized. And so I wanted to work with Girls Who Code because their objective is to close the gender gap in tech. And I felt like that was a space that was quite underserved, not having as much women in tech, not having as much diverse identities in tech. And so I'm currently getting my PhD in biomedical engineering. On top of my PhD, my community outreach involves helping other educators construct and develop their coding curriculum and programs to be inclusive, inviting, and also just learning how to teach coding because I think there's a lack of good educators who can teach coding because it's such a gate kept um, source of logic too. Because like you think about it, when you learn coding, people from our generation, it's typically the people who took CS classes, computer science classes, people who took engineering classes. They aren't teaching educators to present this to students at a younger age. And so we lose the opportunity to teach students how to work together in these fields at a young age. And so we bridge that gender gap earlier on. And so we are raising the next generation of competent leaders who are able to work with more diverse identities.
I love that. Also, until you started talking, I realized my microphone was not working, so I'll add all that back in when we get done. So that's always kind of how it goes on these streams. It's a lot of moving parts and pieces, and I don't have a producer in here with me. It's just me in my in,
One man show.
in my gaming room. Yes. Um, so what you talked about, like especially the working together part, I thought was really important. We engaged Girls Who Code, like I said, back when I was at Cisco, and the way that we did that was we had the girls come over basically as a field trip during the day, and we paired them up, and one had to physically put the parts in place on a Raspberry Pi, and then the other wrote the code. And so you could tell it left, right, up, down. And the goal of the software that they tested it on was this little lunar lander thing that was just the cutest game you've ever seen. Next, maybe up there with Dave the Diver, but and they got to keep it at the end, and then we give them a bunch of swag because why wouldn't you, right? Give them something to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really cool to just see, like, I don't know how many adults couldn't do that. You know what I mean? But we were able to teach them. I think they were maybe fifth, sixth grade,
Yeah, I
and
don't think I can do that right now. Like build a Raspberry Pi, I can read about it and tell you how to look it up, but I couldn't do it myself right now.
you could. What's the line from the song? I could take apart a remote control and I could almost put it back together.
Yeah. Essentially that.
Right? Yeah. Oh, that's all day. That's what We're engineers. We're here to deconstruct things and figure out how to make them work better.
Yeah,
Um,
or just make it work again at all.
that's true. Sometimes that's all it takes. I need. We have a new property that there's a lot of that going on right now, which is like, wonder if we could make this. Why is the dryer not drying anything? That kind of
Yeah.
the fun home ownership stuff.
Yeah, but then when you teach young students, especially young girls, these fundamentals, they have so much opportunity to be creative with these fundamentals as they're going through this foundation of logic you've just given them, like how to construct that Raspberry Pi. And now we just set the platform for innovation now. Like we can just go up from here with what they can come up with.
Yeah, and I think the collaboration part, I think, is a huge piece of that, right?
Mhm.
I don't get too deep in philosophy, but the kind of like, hey, we can work together. Like that should be the default
Mhm.
at all times, and so um, I'm sure there's people who would be like, well, why isn't there a boys who code? Because look at the industry, that's why. So
Yeah,
yeah,
there's so many of them. Yeah, I know there's some schools that like having a girls who code like girls only club, just because boys have cooties, girls don't want to learn around them, and they just thrive. They just thrive without the boys sometimes, and that's totally fine. And I have schools that also like having a coding club with the boys and girls using the girls who code curriculum, just because we invite a lot of inclusion in our program by spotlighting women in tech, non-binary individuals who are also represented in tech. So we do see different faces in tech that aren't currently represented.
yeah.
And so having the boys see that and encourage that, also having boys carry girls who code swag is such a badass move. Like I love that. I think all my coworkers are men and I've given them so much girls who code swag. I hope they have way more than I do because it's so much solidarity to see that happening at a younger age. And so you see these young boys who are going to be the next tech leaders
Yeah.
just because the pathway for them is so cleared off. They're going to be competent leaders when they come up there and they will be inviting other identities with them because that's what they're used to working with at an early age. And I think that's what we're encouraging as a whole.
And I hope that that's the type of individual like leadership that grows out of this program. There's a pretty famous um, female presenter in InfoSec. She actually, I think, started the bug bounty program at Microsoft or ran it at least for a long time. And I was listening to an interview with her, and she wants all of her interview questions in advance. And the reason
Mhm,
is let's say there's 5 questions, and the first question is, so what's it like to be a woman in information security? She said, "Look, you got to take that out because if you have 5 questions for a guy, you're never going to ask him that question.
mhm,
So I'm already only 4/5 the expert because you're only giving me that opportunity. I want the same amount of time." And
mhm.
brilliant, right? And I think that's the sort of inspirational uh, leadership by example that we could use a heck of a lot more of, you know?
Right, because yeah, when you ask a man, like you would give, if you're asking a woman an extra question there, you're giving her the space and platform to fully represent her identity in that space. When you have like four other men, and you ask them the same question, they can occupy that question too. They're going to take up significantly less time, but they don't need that platform to speak about their experience. The
Right.
woman does.
Yeah, we're the default. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we talked we talked before. I'm in grad school for criminology, and like my first class
Hmm.
was gender globalization, and it was
Hmm.
the divide between men and women in educational opportunity, employment, political participation, like all this, and it was just week after week of, oh man, I might be the problem. Just because the patriarch, because it's all just defaulted to that. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about Girls Who Coded. You have some material to share with us, right?
Yes, I have slides. Is the screen screening sharing, or
Uh,
would it be sharing if I shared my screen?
yeah. If you share, if it asks, I will give you permission right there. Allow. Boom.
Cool. But yes, I have some slides to see how we could bring Girls Who Code resources to more organizations. All our resources are free. I think that's a huge benefit because I think right now a lot of computer science resources are not free. You typically need a collegiate education. It's complicated, it's not fun, and it doesn't really show you the transferability of what you can apply this to in the real world. Like, what the heck is computer science? What is cybersecurity? What is AI? AI is just a really cool term right now. So, how can we break this down to make it sound less scary, less intimidating, and actually kind of cool? Right now, when you think of these things, it's like, oh, a bunch of nerds, a bunch of weirdos. But no, these things are actually really cool and they can be really creative. So,
I
um,
love that you're lowering the barrier to entry because a lot of that could be either from a cost or from a
mhm,
time investment perspective.
mhm.
It's very intimidating, right? Even for
Oh,
folks who are in career or folks who are looking to change careers. I can't imagine as a student, as a young student, uh, like how daunting that might look at first. And that's why I think this program is just serves a huge purpose.
absolutely, yeah. And I wish I had this programming when I was back in undergrad, high school. This is a high school program, an elementary school program. So I'm very excited that young girls are gonna just be smarter than me when they get to college, and that's just the goal. Like I don't want anyone going through what I experienced being in a male dominant field, being the only diverse face in a whole classroom of like 300 guys.
Oof.
I'd rather them at least have some diversity, some comfort in learning in these spaces. So that's definitely the goal with this program. And yeah, it brings down cost barriers, socioeconomic barriers, and just identity barriers. Like you can see what you're doing here without having the daunting name computer science. That's a really scary and very nerdy name.
It can be, yeah, and it can mean different things to different people, right? And I think
Mhm.
that this also, well, we'll talk a little bit about like what the format of this looks like after you finish before I let you go, so I can have people understand like what how to engage with Girls Who Code because I know there was an offer that you had on your table that was pretty cool.
Oh, that will be on the slides too. So we'll
Awesome,
talk about that. Yeah,
perfect.
so we'll talk about what we do, how you can access us, because we have two programs running right now. One that's typically all year round, and then one that's for the summer for non-binary students and girls specifically to apply for. But our other programming is for anyone who would like to invite more inclusion into their computer classrooms.
Amazing, love it.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll get started here. So thank you for having me, Nick, and we'll get started on how you can bring Girls Who Code programming into other organizations. So just a little bit on the agenda, a little overview, what you might expect. We'll go over Girls Who Code's purpose and overall mission to close the gender gap and provide all students the opportunity to change the world with code. Then we'll talk about how Girls Who Code Clubs runs and operates. We then might, I think I put this out of order, but we have a sample activity with AI at the very, very end if we would like to get back to it. I reordered it, so it's at the end because it's a bit more collaborative, but it's also it's an example of what AI might do, for example, in art, in tech, and what we can just be prepared for with it. I think it's a tool that is not going to leave, and so rather than fighting against it, I think it's useful to be more informed about it. So we do have a small activity if we wish to engage in that, or if we wish to engage in other conversations.
Cool,
But that's going to be at the end, not in this order.
no problem.
Yeah. After that, I'll provide a step-by-step instruction, a brief overview of how we might access our curriculum dashboard, like what we can do to actually start applying for a Girls Who Code Club. I've condensed it quite a bit, so I do have other slides if people did want to see how you navigate the application. Um, But then we'll wrap up by providing links, my email, and we use any time if you might have questions that might be common for people to ask, and we can go from there.
Perfect.
Yeah. So let's take a look at what coding really is. To put it simply, coding is writing commands to instruct a computer to do something in a programming language that it can understand. So you're simply learning to speak the computer's language. And computers have different languages too, so you can call these like Java, Python. That's what these kind of mean, the different languages you can communicate to the computer in. We believe that coding is a great way to teach students valuable life skills. It's endless. The process of trial and error and to try to get the right code in the right place. It's really important to be practicing resilience. And I think that's a very underrated skill that no one talks about in science, coding, engineering, but just the imperfection of it. We're tinkering, we're going through challenges, and we're embracing that we're going to encounter these mistakes, that we might be creating these mistakes, but ultimately to be excited and exhilarated to actually tackle these problems and make them better, like come out better than what we were initially trying to solve to begin with.
That's
Um, and so,
that's awesome. Yeah,
uh,
that's our that's sort of the one of the taglines of one of our founders, which is like in when you always leave people better for having met you, right? That type of
mhm.
thing. So I think this tags nicely into that, which is like, yeah, like you're ideating, you're iterating, you're doing all these things that maybe the next person comes and just builds on your Legos, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, you want to leave something better than how you found it, and that's just the goal of it. Even if you found it in a place where, oh, you've broken it into pieces and you're like, okay, I want to put it together, but now the next person has a bit more of a shortcut, a new set of struggles to improve it, have more interesting innovation. And I think that's just a big part of what science is. Like we're building off of something that has a foundation. We're not starting from zero each time
Right.
and leveraging it from there and just being more excited to go through these challenges because it's always going to be challenging to build off a foundation, but exhilarate these challenges and exhilarate troubleshooting. It's essentially what resilience is, being able to troubleshoot.
It's a very subtle way to teach the sort of mantra of like we win or we learn, right?
Mhm.
Like failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And failure is going to be something that we get excited for because now we have opportunity to grow from it, to learn, and actually figure out, okay, let's look deeper. What is actually missing here?
We 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 used to do it monthly. Now it's a little harder because people are adults, but we have like a writer's dinner every once in a while, and really it's like, yeah, everybody's gonna I'm gonna cook, everybody's gonna eat, and then we're gonna break into our pairs or whatever and go over where are you in your work in progress. And one of the sort of measurables that we like to have in that is how many rejection letters each of us
Mhm.
gets, and we get excited by them because you're like, you know what, you're right, that scene definitely went 3 times as long as it needed to. I need to button that up. Or, this person, I just had this, I was editing something. It was like these two people were riding in a car together, and then one of them showed up at the destination 10 minutes before the other one. Like, wait, how did that
Mhm.
happen? So, it's ways that you just continue to, like I said, iterate and improve.
Yeah, and a common, I think, psychological practice that a lot of, I think, counselors talk about is rejection is redirection, whether it's a job, whether it's a community, whether it's just something that you've engaged in that rejects you. It's redirection, and I think it's always for the better, especially if that rejection was there, it wasn't serving you. That means it's time for us to navigate a way to redirect this in a way that it does serve you, whether it's people, whether it's community, or whether it's what you're building and
I love
working
that.
with.
I've never heard that. I love that. I'm stealing it.
Yeah, fantastic in therapy, fantastic in counseling. My friends are in psychology and love them for that. And so they've taught me that. And I think that's a mantra for everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, Girls in Code, we're leading a movement to inspire, educate, and equip diverse young people with the skills they need to pursue 21st century opportunities. Um, And we talked about this, but why is resilience important? Today, although women make up nearly 50% of the overall workforce, they hold less than 30% of computing and mathematical jobs. In major tech companies, the disparity is even sharper and clearer, such as Google, for example, reports that women make up maybe like 24% of these tech roles. I don't know if you were trying to say something, I might have interrupted you. I heard a deep breath.
No, I was going to get snarky because my brother works at Google, but I'll just leave it alone.
Oh, tell them to hire some more
I'm
girlies.
going to.
Yeah, no, these are fantastic companies, and I think encouraging us to close the gender gap will just be more exciting for more ideas and more innovation. And to have these diverse identities in such big tech names too, because Google's huge. And
Yeah.
so inviting more identities that are maybe in underserved communities that don't have resources off the bat might really benefit the creativity on their team.
And that was something we definitely learned. Um, my kid was high school age during when COVID hit, and we
Mhm.
like it. You're like, oh well, everybody can just you know uh, learn from home. No, not really. Not everybody has the technology, the
The
software,
internet,
for
computer,
any all of it, and yeah, and
quiet
like
home.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, not everyone has that. It's a very big, I think, socioeconomic gap where you can find a safe space to learn these concepts, to, even if it's just quiet room to learn these things. Computer. I think everyone takes for granted how accessible our electronics are nowadays. But they're not accessible to everybody, especially like stable internet.
yeah.
People share devices in their families sometimes because that's what's available. Some school districts still also can't afford stable technology in that format. So we want to make this the way that we think of the logical structures behind coding, behind computer science to be more accessible. So at least they'll have a shortcut to when, for example, they might want to choose college as a career path. And if that's the case, then they'll be more prepared when they get there, rather than being super shocked that they're like, oh, I've never thought about things like this, like coding a language. I never thought about this before. And even if you don't have access to a computer, we want people to be able to access like we have book club models even. And so this is something that people can check out from libraries, do without internet. And I think that really bridges the gap.
Is there coaching of the girls for like that future thought process of like, okay, so do you want to go to college? What kind of career do you want to go into? We were fortunate enough in another company that I worked for even before that, before Cisco was Symantec, and I was the community outreach chairman for our location. And
Mhm.
when we brought in girls in technology, we work with the Women in Technology Education Foundation. And
Mhm.
while the students were learning that type of material, we were working with the adults on things like interview skills, resume, like all of that, so that it was almost a layered approach because you want to meet people where they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't want to just support girls in their initial journey to learn how to code. We want to support them until they get their first tech jobs, if that's what they wish to pursue. So I think, so one pipeline we have is our summer programs where we invite all girls and non-binary students who are in eighth grade, ninth grade, so rising ninth graders, eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, 12th grade, 11th grade, so all of high school and then rising ninth graders to apply for free, and these free programs offer real life impact projects. They're projects that are taught by our facilitators. Um, and so with this, they're also part of our Girls Who Code Sisterhood, our pipeline. And with this, they're also accessing our network. So one of our generous sponsors and partners is Wells Fargo. And I believe there was one summer where 9 or 12 of our girls from our summer programming got hired on full time from Wells Fargo.
Really nice.
Following their college path. And so it's very exciting. We also have college loops too, and that's a big networking path as well because we want to support all of our, essentially, it's a sisterhood, it's family. And so we want to support them not just when they start learning how to code and learning about tech, but also to get their first careers. Because a lot of, I think, what we're able to thrive on is who we know, like not necessarily the grades we make, but the hands we shake at this point. Because at this point, like I said, the knowledge gap in what's available to people right now is just so inequitable that I think it's very important nowadays that we have this network. And so a big emphasis for Girls Who Code is definitely sisterhood, and that's a big pillar that we uphold.
I love that.
Yeah. And so sisterhood, we also start like all of our Girls Who Code Club gatherings typically with sisterhood activities. So it's essentially just an icebreaker, but it's also an activity just to get everyone familiar with each other, comfortable with each other, or like seeing what level of comfort you want your club to have with the sisterhood activity. We call it a sisterhood activity, but like I said, it's just an icebreaker. And I think all meetings should really start with icebreakers. I think there's a big disconnect when you don't have an icebreaker when it comes to meetings.
That's a that's a skill. That is a skill that translates into any career, which is to have the ability to do that. You know what I mean? To have
Mhm.
that icebreaker capability, to help establish rapport and just get people off their heels. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was in a lot of leadership clubs back in my undergrad, my college. And there were times where I was president and I would take away the icebreakers. And I noticed that, oh, we weren't close. We were kind of bickering a lot. We were outside of our meeting room, we weren't really communicating or talking, and it's because we had nothing to connect on besides work.
Yeah.
And so eventually, we got a new advisor for the clubs I was president for, and she was like, "Hey, Juke, you need to start each meeting you lead with an icebreaker. I don't care how much time it takes. We are starting it with an icebreaker. I don't care if you think it's unproductive and not according to the agenda. We're starting with some uplifting, silly icebreaker to break the ice when people walk in, to feel comfortable in here. Like, yes, you have an inviting face, but that doesn't mean you're inviting, and creating inviting space right now.
Yeah.
And so that's something, a big HR skill that they don't teach in science, I
Do,
don't think.
do you have a favorite? Do you have one that stuck with you? Like an icebreaker that,
Favorite one. I guess what's the grossest food combination you would serve to your best friend?
what's the grossest food conversation? No,
Like
combination.
combination.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And to your
Um,
best friends, not even your enemy. Like, what would you want your best friend? Like, you wouldn't want them to suffer, but you do want to see them kind of like,
be
you know,
uncomfortable. Yeah.
exactly. Like, just something funny.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Like, would you make them like take a shot of soy sauce with like some like wasabi in it or something? Like, what would be some
There's
kind of
there's
combination?
definitely an ILF person who would say a shot of Malort. Like, let me just,
Mm.
I'm gonna call them out because like they might be listening, but if
They're
not,
more creative. They gotta put something else in there in the Malort.
oh, it no, it's the description that every time we're like, what is it? What is Malort? You know, are you familiar with it?
You told me about it last time we met
Yeah,
when
yeah,
we
that's
first
right,
met.
that's right, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, he said it's like
Like you said, you tried to like it.
no, 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 no. John says it's like eating smoked salmon off of a burning tire or something like that. He's got a really weird thing, but that
Yeah.
would definitely be the thing that he would because he thinks it's delicious, and we're all like, you're out of your mind. Uh,
Yeah. But that's
our
my favorite icebreaker because we all gotta eat and you
Yeah,
know?
and look, and you just appealed to like I just finished cooking salmon and rice for like I'm the cook in the house, so now I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, now I have to visualize it. Ours
Yeah. It
is
makes
our
people think like,
Yeah,
oh, I don't want to be his best friend.
no, ours is always like favorite concert. Like just it's
Yeah.
just an
Oh, okay.
easy one, and because everybody likes their own type of music, and so you kind of learn a
Hmm.
little bit about it, and it kind of gives you a little insight into what music people are into, and um, yeah, I
Hmm.
hate the slides that are like, what's your favorite password? Shut up. What? No, this is
Isn't that
devastating.
like a big cybersecurity concern?
Yes, yes. If it's your child's name, your pet's name, or your favorite sports team, go change it now. Thank you, Chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I derailed us.
No, you're good. You're good. Actually, with Girls Who Code, almost all of our all my meetings with like my manager and my team, my outreach team, specifically, I think our most common icebreaker is what's something that's made you happy in the last week or month, and it needs to be accompanied with pictures. And so that encourages us
Oh,
to take pictures of things that we enjoy, things that we find appealing. And so, knowing that that icebreaker is going to come up with us every 2 weeks or every month, we always like are prepared. Like, oh, I'm thinking about the next icebreaker. So you're like briefly thinking about that meeting you're gonna like our meeting and knowing that you get to share something that's made you smile and happy, but then that means, oh, you're encouraged to take a picture of it for like a satisfying memory. And so all those connect and create more bonding with your team, and I feel like it makes you think about them more, but not like in a bad way, you know? It's not like you're thinking of like agonizing, you're thinking, oh, I want to share this
right.
because they're going to be excited to hear about it.
Yeah. Like, look how cute this. Like our smaller dog trying to play in the snow. Right. I would share that with everybody because
Yeah.
it's hilarious. The big dog's just like whatever. I'm just gonna go out and he'll stay out in the snow for hours if we would let him. We don't let him, but the
And you
baby.
probably got a video, a picture, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. I'll send to you.
Yeah. And we all have like heart emojis going up in the Zoom link or like thumbs up or like smiley faces because we're like so happy, so much enthusiasm for these fun events, you know?
Oh, and then if you're in a Zoom like this, and then that dog shows up on camera, hit pause. Like everybody's
Hmm.
like, "Oh, there's the star." You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
that's cool. I'm gonna steal that too.
Yeah, great meeting breaks. It just gets everyone excited to be together. Like imagine having a meeting and you're not excited to see the people around there. So
Or you're thinking about that meeting for 2 weeks, but not with the dread of I
it
have to
being a meeting.
present, or right, or I have to give my numbers, or whatever it is about that meeting that otherwise, if it's all business, may you know may impact the collaboration and the attitude in the room.
Right? Exactly. So all good facets that we're teaching earlier on, because I think, yeah, you don't learn that when you walk into a lab in a science class in college at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the main event of what Girls Who Code clubs actually are. So our clubs are ongoing programs throughout the whole year. You can start anytime, you can end them anytime. We have hundreds of hours of curriculum, so unless your students happen to be able to navigate hundreds of hours of computer science curriculum in like an academic year, an academic semester, we have so many projects, real world impact projects that students can actually work on, and you can sign them up to walk through these modules. We have tons of facilitator toolkits too. So, troubleshooting guides for people who are teaching and facilitating these clubs that don't have computer science background. So, first thing to understand is what our clubs exactly are. So, they are free programs for third grade to 12th graders. So, all of our curriculum is K through 12 standardized, but the way we navigate them typically starts in third grade. Sometimes we have first graders or like kindergartners, they get read our book club models. Like they don't have the same autonomy to pick up the book club model and read it themselves.
Got it.
So we'll have like, yeah, someone like dear time read it to them. And then maybe when they get older, they have the autonomy to pick up the book by third grade and then walk through our book club models on their own.
Nice.
Yeah. We invite all genders and all skill levels that can be used in a variety of settings like schools, libraries, community centers, other nonprofits. Yeah, like I mentioned, all gender identities are welcome to use our programming, whatever your organization needs. So if the organization, like I said, sees that the boys have a lot of cooties, the girls don't want to work with them, make a girls only club. If that's encouraging more girls to learn, to work together, to want to be coders, I think that's what's the need of that organization. But if some schools are like, we would like them to work together. We want these leaders to be competent, diverse communicators with each other at a young age. We think this could work, and we think we can navigate this. Invite all those identities into these clubs, and you can call it coding clubs. Some parents might get upset if you call it girls who code clubs.
Right.
We've had people call them coding clubs, and it works totally fine.
There's something else that you called out there, which I thought was very interesting, which it says on here, designed by expert educators. But again, that
Mhm,
low barrier to entry, the person hosting, right,
mhm,
or delivering the program doesn't have to have a computer science degree in order to get
mhm.
the kids to understand. Um,
Correct. And that's,
there's
I think, a big selling point of our curriculum because you don't need a computer science background. You don't have to know what computer science is. I'm pretty sure we have a segment talking about what is this? Like, what is coding? What can you do with this?
right.
Because our expert educators, our curriculum and instruction team, they've gone through all of this curriculum instruction and made sure it's dissectable to people who don't have computer science background. A lot of my colleagues actually don't have an engineering STEM background like I do. A lot of them are in human resources, they're in business, they're very much great managers and great educators, but being great computer scientists, that's not something that a lot of them have that background, have had the privilege to learn like I have. So we have our expert educators bring that down. And a lot of my colleagues, like I said, who are just my managers,
Yeah.
who have a background in business or just working with people, they've been able to navigate and learn with this curriculum, even though their background's not computer science.
There's a great anecdote for that in a book called The Music Lesson by Victor Wooten, who's a fantastic bass player.
Mhm,
And he's talking like everybody, he's like just go do it, just play, and because music is his playground. But he said, like,
mhm,
you didn't learn every word in the English language before you decided to start speaking the English language. Right? So
mhm,
like that's the same thing. So we're not like, okay, if you want to be able to to host this program, you're gonna
mhm,
go ahead and need to get a master's in computer science.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like a big step because like, okay, there's no background in like how do you download a software like Python even? And so here it kind of like bridges that barrier. A lot of our stuff is web-based too. I think people are very scared to download crazy things
Yeah.
to their computer.
Yep.
A lot of our stuff is just web-based. And so that also breaks the barrier of like, oh, I don't know how to set up I'm gonna use some jargon. Environment. I don't know what that is. I don't know how to set up my cloud. A lot of jargon. And so we put that all on a web-based platform so students can just even use like simple Chromebooks. They're not worrying about things like what's a RAM, like how much that's taking up. So
Right.
like all of this jargon has been removed and we're simplifying it just so they simply learn the logic, simply learn like, okay, do I actually want to pursue this further and get in the weeds of building my own environment, building my own um uploading this to my cloud or all of that.
Yep.
So we break down that barrier because I think that's the hardest path to entry if you're like, okay, I gotta figure out how to even get the software on my computer first. And so we don't want that to be like very, especially for educators who are like, I want to teach this at like a huge program scale because that's I think the best part way to learn things is have a project, an end goal, an impact with the project. But that's a huge scale of like, okay, I need all these like libraries, I need a bunch of repositories. I need a bunch of
Right.
folders, and it's like super confusing. And so we've kind of broken down that barrier by putting it all on the web for them, like web-based into that dashboard when they apply to work with us.
I feel like that one of the like ideal people that we want to get this program in front of are the teachers who recognize that the students have the desire for this, right?
Mhm.
Without necessarily it being like the computer science teacher. It could be the librarian, it
Mhm.
could be the English teacher, but if I have enough students who have expressed this interest, then there is a repeatable, deliverable, consumable program that that you can provide for all these students, right, from third grade up, which
Yeah.
I think again you're eliminating those barriers to entry. You're not saying only the computer lab can do this, especially with the
Mhm.
web base, and you're not worried about how many terabytes of data and do I have tensor processing units and like all that other, it's just not something that has to even
Am I
come
using
into.
the CPU or the GRU or whatever, which processing unit am I using? It's real confusing. Even I'm still like short-circuited talking about it myself.
Okay.
But yeah, and so all of these opportunities are on our dashboard. And yeah, even some of our younger students, so like third to fifth graders or third to fifth, sixth graders, they can get away with even just using iPads for a lot of our curriculum because a lot of it is just building up that logic. But the book club models or fill in the blanks, rather than actual script writing, which they can still do. But having, for example, iPad access, I know a lot of schools right now are implementing iPads in their schools for students to take home to do their homework. And so just having that available and students have access to that when they don't have a computer or iPad at home is also a good way for them to access and just see this curriculum and actually get that logical thinking started, like drop and drag kind of like block coding things.
Nice. iPads and
Yeah.
Chromebooks everywhere.
Yes. Chromebooks are very useful too. But yeah, they can start scripting. I've seen a lot of very bright third graders scripting. It's very impressive.
Nice.
So our club's program content is rooted in our educational philosophy defined by our three central pillars. So our first one, by emphasizing more than code, our Girls Who Code clubs go beyond computer programming skills to support a culture of bravery and confidence building. So our club's curriculum hones young people's computational thinking, problem-solving abilities, and creativity. And so these clubs empower their members to be brave, take risks, build resilience, and just a growth mindset to tackle challenges and in tech and all of that because like I mentioned before, resilience is just a very underrated skill and bravery is just really underrated to teach when you're navigating science, STEM. Because troubleshooting, when you hear that, that sounds terrifying. You're in trouble, troubleshooting.
Yeah.
But essentially that is resilience. That's like, okay, I'm excited to navigate this challenge that I might have made. Because it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting to see the outcome at the end rather than being discouraged. I think a lot of young girls are taught to be perfectionists rather than young boys who are taught to, like, if they fall while they're running, it's like, oh, just brush it off, get up. Where, when I
Rub to
say
dirt
girls
it.
are taught, yeah. And so it's nice to have this mindset in a, I guess, a less aggressive manner. Yeah, like not just the fall down and dust yourself off kind of thing. It's like, no, let's get excited about like, okay, this went wrong. Let's get excited to what's the satisfaction you're gonna get to fix this thing instead?
Yeah.
That mindset. Um, our other pillar is sisterhood. So clubs emphasize sisterhood, which creates a safe environment where all members know that they belong. They feel supported through an emphasis on community, diverse representation. I mentioned very briefly that we do spotlight women and non-binary individuals in tech, and this invites more faces, and you can kind of see more people can kind of see themselves in these spaces now because it's like this is the face that's represented in your club, and you may not see that in the media as often or like in marketing tools, but now we're showing it in a very dense manner. Um, and then when you access it on the web and everywhere else, you'll see all the homogenized faces regardless anyway. And so here we want to represent that interactivity. So we spotlight those people in tech for diverse innovators, and then we show them what can you do. Like there's some really cool innovators who have connected, for example, music, lighting design with coding to show like, oh, you
Yep.
can bring in art into this. It's not just boring old science. It's like their creativity is colorful. And so we want to bridge that all for students to see like, okay, you're not going to be a weird computer nerd hunched over at your computer all day. You can do really cool things with this.
Yeah. Do you want to win the holiday light fight? contest, right?
Exactly. Yeah, make the next like Disney on Ice show spectacular kind of thing.
Yeah, that's we were telling the kid like, look, they were like, go 6 months, go be the video and audio producer for the Disney cruise.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like people don't talk about how that's like a thing you can do with tech. You need that for tech, actually.
yeah, yeah. But you're taking it outside of the class, so you're doing it for a fun project that's not necessarily just hunched over the computer lab and giving yourself tech neck.
Hmm.
And then I'd like the other piece that you spoke about, which is like, hey, the person in that training, like I see myself as that person. It's not
Hmm.
you know a, a grizzled old Linux guy with a ponytail and suspenders and black coffee. Like they exist, trust me. But
Yeah.
but that's not your only option if you're looking for somebody who potentially is an expert um, in the field in coding.
Yeah, exactly. And I think my lab at my university, we host an outreach event to this elementary school every year. And the first year, like the inaugural year that we hosted it, so I am the only girl in my lab right now, and we are hosting it. And I think two or three of the girls from the outreach event that we were hosting, some of the sixth graders came up to me and they asked if they could take a picture with me at this event. And I was just like, yeah, sure. And their mom was apologizing. I was like, no, it's okay. I don't know. I didn't know why they were taking the picture at the time, but they each gave me a hug and said, I want to be a pretty scientist like you one day. And
Aw,
that just made my heart sink. Because it's not only like, oh, I see like, oh, she's wearing makeup or I like her jewelry, I like her outfit. It's no, I want to be smart one day
yeah.
too. And I can see myself doing that because I want to be like you. And that just, I think it's the best compliment because they are seeing it. It's impacted. Children are so honest.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think
Oh yeah.
that's the best thing to see. Because if they just saw my lab mates, of course they're not going to they could call my lab mates the same thing too. Like I want to be a pretty scientist like you, to one of my male lab mates. But they probably wouldn't say that because they don't see themselves there.
Right.
But another gentleman might see like, oh, I can see myself there because one of the like Seth over here, John over here, these other male figures are here. But then these young girls are like, oh, this person who also I also don't look like I'm a person of color. And so they're like, oh, this person looks different and she's here. I could be that too. And that's just one of my favorite things that's ever happened whenever I do outreach events when I see children come up to me and say that.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
I'm sorry, they're not gonna say that to you,
No,
unfortunately.
no one's calling me a pretty scientist anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our third pillar is relevance and impact. So we understand that young learners need more than programming materials to be successful. Like if you gave someone a script, you might give them a panic attack. Like so many words, so many letters, so many just characters, so many things going on, numbers. But what we want to do is we prioritize real world relevance and impact. So projects that you might actually see, or how it's applied, like how is tech applied to the things that we are familiar with and see. Like I think the first project I did in our dashboard for Girls Who Code, because I was learning how to use the dashboard when I first joined,
Hmm.
to make sure that I was able to communicate in the same manner that, like in the same language that we want to talk to people when we're teaching them about tech. Like I don't want to teach them my super complex jargon filled
Oh yeah.
stuff I've learned from my college courses. So I
Right.
was doing some of the programming that we offer. And I think the first real world impact project I did was how does the Snapchat filter find your face to give you the dog emoji, like your nose and your ears? And that was just so much fun. But essentially, these are real life relevant impact projects. I don't know how to put this into words. Like these are just words that are what these projects mean, and they're exciting. Sure, like these filters are like not a huge bridge in the gap of like large problems we have in the world, like environmental problems or um, problems in science, but like this is something that's entertaining. It keeps people engaged on the internet, and it's a bit more of a shortcut to tell students, okay, this is what you could do with coding. You can make it more creative. You can make it just whatever you can with these skills. And I really enjoy that because, yeah, like I said, you don't know what computer science is at all when you hear computer science.
Yeah. And that skill translates too. I mean, okay, applying the dog face is the outcome that Snapchat has, but there are plenty of other tools that are out there that will leverage the same. Where's the face in on this video? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And we also break down some of the problems that we currently have in these machine learning tools that find your face. Like, for example, we don't have very diverse data sets. Like, people of color the filters might have a hard time navigating their facial features because we don't have proper data sets. And
Right.
so, learning what are the gaps also in this technology and how can we improve it? And so hearing that is also how we strike innovation for these young learners too.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, so we'll go to the next slide. All right, to cater to unique learning needs and styles of students, we have two different age groups. I think I've briefly mentioned them,
Hmm.
but we have our third to fifth grade clubs, which are more of a book club model. And this is a model where I mentioned they can get away with iPads. They can even get away with doing this completely offline, like not even on the internet, if that's not something that's accessible at the time. Um, and then we have our 6th to 12th grade clubs, which is all like flexible plug and play models. A lot of them will learn how to script. Some of them will do some more block coding. And yet we have so many hours of curriculum. So if you have really bright students, you can get complete 100 hours of curriculum. Fantastic. But we have so many options. You can choose the projects you enjoy more. Maybe you really like cybersecurity projects and you really want to prioritize all of those in our dashboard.
Yep.
And maybe you find game design really boring. So you don't do any of the game design projects. I think there's plenty of projects to go around.
I'm waiting
Yeah.
for a shout from the other room about calling game design boring. I'm waiting for the.
Not boring at all, but some students might find it boring so they don't want to do it. But
Right.
yeah. So yeah, we have tons of projects, or maybe you find data science boring. We have that too. That sounds like something people might find boring.
It
Um,
takes a type.
Takes a type. I actually love data science.
I know.
I am not one of those people, unfortunately. But yeah, I think normal people would find that boring and would want to do game design and cybersecurity front end
Yeah.
um, in our different dashboard models. So the main focus of our third to fifth grade clubs is developing bravery and confidence in using computer science skills. And so this consists of three different parts. And so we'll start with like a sisterhood activity where I mentioned it's like an icebreaker, you're meeting everyone, you're answering just some fun questions like, oh, what's a memory you did last night, or what's your favorite dinner you had last week, just something a bit more fun and uplifting. Um, and then club members will dive deep into guided lesson plans centered around our Girls Who Code books. So we'll have a few books available, and then we'll have a Scratch component. So Scratch is like an online block coding builder that they can utilize to complement all of the technical skills they learn from the books, the logical thinking they do in the books, because reading our books is a small component of how the logical process works and how
Yeah.
you think step by step. They're more like comic books too, so not necessarily like chapter books that you might get fatigue reading, but they're more like comic books. And we also represent different faces in tech as well, different faces in computer science. So you'll see different identities, diverse identities, different genders, and that's something that's very prevalent in our books, which I really enjoy. Each meeting also ends with a wrap-up session, this impact session, where it's an opportunity for reflection, feedback, and it's a place to nurture a growth mindset. And I think we kind of practice this in other fields of engineering, where you kind of have like a debrief, is what we call
Yeah.
it, a less fun name. So a debrief session, where it's
Post
like
mortem.
your, huh?
Post mortem. That's we've used that too. It just depends on your field, but yeah. But if
Exactly.
you want if you want debrief to sound fun, then you just go post mortem.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is a session to go over, okay, what went wrong? What went right? What are opportunities for next time? And yeah, this is how we build that structure for our third to fifth graders. Um, and then when it comes to our sixth to 12th graders, we welcome them in with a sisterhood activity as usual. The key differences in our Girls Who Code, I think, groups is now we definitely will highlight tech spotlights. So before our books would highlight those spotlights, but now we actually have these spotlights that are in our dashboards where they'll talk about um, a little bit of an autobiography of a woman or a non-binary person who's working in tech right now. And these are innovators who've done really cool things. Like I mentioned, there was that lighting design person that used code to make really pretty lights. That was essentially their art.
Nice.
Um, yeah, and they're computer scientists. We call them as they are. You just don't think computer scientists would do something that cool.
That creative.
Very creative. Um, but yeah, they'll go through activities and they'll learn coding skills in different languages. We have options in HTML, CSS, so like more web development stuff. They have JavaScript options. We can do Python, and then there's Swift from Apple. So all of those opportunities, and they're all quite marketable skills too. To
Yep.
have like projects outlined on your resume, which we don't teach you how to build a resume at like the age of like what's fifth grade. 10 maybe. We don't really teach you how to build a resume there, but we do teach you the projects that you can find valuable. And then once you're ready to construct your resume, probably like early college or something, you'll have these high impact projects already. You'll be able to talk about your projects like, okay, here's what I did, what it's for, and then like what's the actual outcome of it, even though it's on a smaller scale. We're able to talk about that at a bit younger of an age, a younger scale.
Yeah, it makes them stand out.
Exactly. Imagine having a project going on your resume entering college. That's kind of incredible.
Yeah, well, uh, yeah. So when my kid had to audition to get into a performing arts high school, and
Mhm.
everybody was like, I did the spring concert and the fall concert and the winter concert, and then
Mhm.
like no, so the mega talented kid who's in the other room was composed original music for a podcast, edited audio and video for another podcast, and then recorded and edited our buddy's audition reel to be the play-by-play guy for the Seattle Supersonics in the NBA.
That's so cool. Oh my
Right? So,
gosh.
see, that's a standout.
Oh my gosh. Dude, if I worked for the NBA, NFL, or any sports league, that would be such a dream. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. See,
That is so
proud
cool.
dad moment.
Yes, 100%. Oh my
I
gosh.
hope they're watching and embarrassed.
Yeah, you're very proud.
Always.
Yeah, a little picture of them. Yeah. Um, so let's see, some activities, some projects they can be doing. So I mentioned you can explore game design, web development, just creative coding components. So like I mentioned, the Snapchat filter, cybersecurity, data science, and AI, artificial
Yep.
intelligence. So big range of difficulty. You can start from super very difficult, very easy as a beginner level, advanced, whatever you need. We have all these different pathways. You can choose different themes, you can choose different skill levels, and once you have these basics, you're kind of set to do whatever you wish. We have a lot of portfolios of what people like, our art gallery of what students have done on our website, I believe. Yeah, it's very fun when you can, once you get excited about these, I think you can translate into a lot of activities. I actually did a data science project on nail polish as like part of my portfolio
I read
because
that.
yeah, I love data science. I love nail polish. I was like, let's combine the two. And so I did that. I was like, this is kind of fun. Let's make it into, let's use the skills I have and like learn a little bit of something new and apply to something I actually enjoy. And so I think students being able to do that, like if they can bridge something a bit more intense than just, oh, nail polish and data science, or even if they just did that, that's actually a fun bridge, especially when it is a very colorful project like that. I feel like we're missing that in tech right now.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. And when you start a free club, you'll have a dedicated live retention specialist that will help you whenever you need them. So this is an actual person. So they're kind of like me, but like their role isn't outreach. Their role is retention for students and for you. So you need support with accessing the curriculum, navigating the curriculum. You have a troubleshooting error that none of our resources are helping. This is an actual person you can reach out to and say like, hey, I'm really stuck on this. I've tried everything. And they could be like, have you tried this? Have you tried this? And if you said yes, 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 and they're like, hop on a call, we'll talk about it. So
That's
we
cool.
offer this in our dashboard. Yeah, you set up a meeting with them, like how you set meetings with me, basically.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you have webinar training, so you can host different talks like me right here. So we have a bunch of slide decks, not this one, of course, because by the time you started your club and have access to the dashboard, you don't need
All this.
the
Yeah.
this deck that tells you about how to start, why you should start a club. But yeah, you'll have a bunch of webinar training in this format to help guide you, and you'll have facilitation guides. So, like I mentioned, you don't need any computer science CS background to navigate our curriculum. You'll have all those guides, but you'll also have actual humans like myself to support you and guide you along the way. And you get free swag. So added bonuses, a lot of clubs that are eligible get free swag. So t-shirts, stickers, buttons, tuck and toss bags. I gave these all out at my fun table. I was trying to get people to take them because they are genuinely free. And I didn't want to carry them home. So yeah, we give this all out to people who start their clubs. They have plenty of students, and we're like, okay, you need extra support. We're gonna send you some swag, get students to continue stay excited, and you excited to hand out the swag and to uplift our mission of girls coding.
Yeah, I
Um,
was just reaching for my tuck and toss bag and I realized, oh, I'm at the wrong desk. Like it's literally right here in my office. I'm like, oh
yeah,
man, I could have shown it. And also, I stole some stickers from you too. So
perfect. Hand them out. Yeah,
of
I have
course.
my tuck and toss bags. I have a bunch right here on the ground because, like literally a ton, but a bunch of them because I hand them out on my own free will as well because I love it.
Yeah, they're super useful.
100%. They're actually kind of big bags. Like I put my lunch in there.
Nice.
And let's see. So clubs are designed so that anyone can start and access it. All you need is a nonprofit host site, somewhere that's public, maybe a library, somewhere that has access to the technology and the internet. And you'll need a facilitator who, like I mentioned, can be doesn't need to have a computer science background, but they could be a teacher, they could be program staff, they could be a librarian, they could be a college student who just volunteers, a parent volunteers. So anyone who is interested in navigating our curriculum, like I said, they don't need a computer science background.
Yeah, I love that.
hmm Yeah, and I think if you're in college and you're like, I want to dip my toes into coding, this is a way to do it because you're like, okay, now I got to learn how to teach high schoolers how to do it. That means we're going to learn alongside each other. And that kind of breaks down that like mentor-mentee barrier, like boss to employee barrier, where like you're learning alongside a lot of your students. And I think a lot of our facilitators do learn alongside their students. And so that breaks down that barrier, but also that just shows that because you can learn alongside your students, you can navigate it pretty well as someone who may not know what computer science is.
It's an opportunity to get your community service hours in too.
Yes, community service, get to learn how to code if you've never had experience before. If you didn't have the opportunity to have girls who code back in elementary school or high school, this is like a chance to do it in college, get community service hours,
Yep.
build a network, or be the next mentor to those students when they get to college kind of thing too. Lots of opportunity there.
Yeah, we didn't call it AI when I was in college. We'll just go with that.
Fair, that's fair. Honestly, AI is like a new name in a way. It's not new by any means. Like we've had machine learning and these algorithms for a long time, but
Right.
very trendy right now. Very
Yep.
trendy. Yeah. Um, so a bit more on I think this is more on our innovative learning with AI, on what you could be doing with AI. So I'll just leave this on the screen for a tad bit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we have a ton of jargon on here, of course, but this is kind of some of the projects that we have on our dashboard. AI is fairly new to our dashboard, like artificial intelligence gains and opportunities and projects, just because it's only recently been quite, I think, heavily impacted to our um, internet streams right now. And so because of that, we have quite a few brand new projects. Not quite a few. They're growing projects, but lots of projects. And those I think are our newest projects for innovation right now that students can be learning and practicing once they enter our dashboard.
And these are again, these are translatable skills, right? With I think the mantra that we tend to hear a lot, especially in the field that I'm in, is that it's not AI is not replacing people. It's people who have the skills to use AI are going to be
Yes.
the leading candidates for whatever opportunity happens to be out there.
Yes. So a big way to look at it is AI is a tool, not a replacement. And so let's just say you've learned the basics on how to do something. It takes you a while to do it. So maybe we can use AI to help enhance that process, make it a bit faster, and then you can add more creativity to it, enhance what's already there. And so a big thing I do in my lab also, whenever students come in and they're like, "Can I use ChatGPT for this?" I'm like, well, first, I want you to get good at this. And then once you do get good at this, you're allowed to use it to speed up the process, but then I expect you to do a much more innovative job of what's next. If AI is doing something that's going to take you an hour to do, if it can do it in 5 minutes, then what can you spend the next 45, 50 minutes doing that you would typically be doing the bare basics? And so I tell them, okay, get good at what you're doing first,
Yeah.
be very skilled at it, and then you may invite assistance because you're also going to be troubleshooting what the AI comes with. AI only learns as well as what you feed it or what's available. And when you're in innovative fields, things are always changing. And so AI isn't keeping up to its full potential. And so having someone also look over it and being competent and certain they're like, okay, this is correct, this is incorrect, or like, where can I feed my resources in to double check that this information is valid? And so taking those steps to also render your use of AI to just not be scared of it. We want to work with it.
Yeah, I love that. Assistant, I think, is probably the best label
Mhm.
right now um, for how it's commonly getting adopted.
Mhm.
I have professors who would say the opposite, but we'll leave them we'll leave them where they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Like don't replace your TA with them, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, and that with that, you would be ready to start a club with all this information. And so clubs can meet after school, during school. Some people don't have the capacity to make a club because you don't get paid extra as a teacher or educator
Yep.
or anything to host a club. So we actually have some educators that put this directly into their computer programs. Like directly into their digital communications programming. And so students might even see our curriculum every day if they put one project at the end of the day, or like study hall, or some type of class like during the day. So this can be directly integrated into your programming. It's not gonna, we don't think it will replace any computer science programming or curriculum that school districts have, but we definitely think we can supplement with our unique projects. 'Cause I think having tangible projects after you learn the skills is something that's missing in a lot of even college courses. We don't have tangible projects the whole time. When you learn these skills, you're like, okay, I learned the skill. It's kind of boring. I don't know when I'm going to use it. Here's a project that we're going to offer through Girls Who Code that actually shows, okay, this is why what you learned is really cool.
Yeah, the project outcome I think is a um, I don't we can get into the rewarding nature of psychology or however we want to get into. Like there's a reason that there's self checkout in grocery stores, right? Because you feel
Yes,
like you've done that accomplishment. So I think that's all very interesting. Of course we went long because you and I are talkers.
absolutely. We'll
Yep,
quickly go a bit
yep.
faster. So
No
what you'll
worries.
receive is a repeated slide. You get swag, tons of fun. Oh, you also have eligibility for clubs funding. So if you have enough students, you have eligibility to get funding through Girls Who Code to fund your clubs with snacks, because students just listen better when you have snacks.
Oh
Or if
yeah.
you want to get robots, if you want to get some Raspberry Pis, if you want to get some Lego sets, whatever you need.
Oh,
Um,
there it is. Look at this.
yeah, steps on how to apply, or you can just go to the QR code right here, and there is access to apply. So I'll leave this on the screen for a few seconds, and I'll briefly talk about our summer programming that we're just passing along to our high school students who are non-binary, who identify as non-binary or girls who are eligible, because our summer programming, I believe the priority deadline is approaching, but our deadline overall is going to close in April, so they'll have time for that. So here, if they go to girlswhocode.com/clubs apply, then they're able to access our application to access clubs, and just overall get our dashboard. And it's all free. We will never ask for money. So the way this application works is they'll fill out the application, we'll get a confirmation email, and then in a few days, we're gonna have my manager and I and a few people on our team just make sure that you're not a bot, you're a human. We know how computers work. So all of that, and make sure that you are eligible, you are a nonprofit, or you are a public organization, or you are homeschooling, for example. That you have the public space and capacity for students, and then we will send you access to your dashboard with your unique code for your club. And that will give you access to look at the entire dashboard. You don't have to start adding students, even though you say that you're going to start your club on a certain day. You don't have to start adding students at all. You can just walk through it even for like a year if you need to learn all that curriculum, or decide like, does that fit your capacity and bandwidth for that season? And yeah, this application just allows you access to our dashboard and our resources, our curriculum, and our tools. So yeah, I'll briefly mention our summer programming. So this is Pathways. So students can independently apply and sign up for summer programs, and they can choose to take a data science route, they can choose to take a cybersecurity route, an AI route, web development, all these different routes that they're able to take. Like I said, they independently sign up for this. So the goal of this is just to get the word out to high school students who are eligible to do this program. They just need the internet access, a computer, because all of our curriculum we're going to provide is remote. It's going to be self-paced. So let's just say they're going to take a vacation and they're like, I don't even want to do this vacation, or I know I'm going to have downtime.
Right.
They can take the computer with them as long as they have the internet, or maybe they're not doing anything this summer. Great opportunity to learn how to code at home for free. Kids are already on the internet all the time, so might as well make it productive. So yeah. Oh, and here are the different tracks that they can do: web development, game design, data science and AI, cybersecurity, and AI and society, so like social impacts.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
yes, and here's where they can apply. So yes, we are very close to so our priority deadline is tomorrow. So what the priority deadline means is that's going to guarantee our classroom's going to have enough open within capacity. However, our final deadline is going to be April 10th, and that's our big final push to fill up our classrooms. Basically, we open classrooms based on how many students actually apply. So the more students that apply, the more we can justify opening more classrooms. And so we're encouraging students to apply. It's absolutely free. They do it independently, as long as they have, yeah, the internet, the computer, their parents' permission to use all that, which I presume they do now in age. Um, and yeah, they can just apply at girlswhocode.com/pathways apply, and they can go from there. It's really easy to apply. Current 8th to 12th graders. Um, and yeah, I think that's all I've got for my slides right now.
Love it. Get on that chat. You've got till tomorrow. Let's go.
Yes, here are the websites right here. Yes. So the clubs all year round, halfways, is going to be, yeah, tomorrow's going to be our priority deadline. However, like I said, April 10th is the final day for our high school girls and non-binary students. And if you have any questions for me, my email address is truc.ngo@girlswhocode.com. So feel free to reach out to me, apply on these websites. I'm very responsive. And yeah, happy to get anyone started.
And very obviously like super into what you do. Like that's what I love. Like when the fireside chat format is like so easy because it's
No,
no
I
one's
love this.
no one's gonna come on and be like this is it has to be super hyper formal and you have 18.2 minutes or like there's just none of that, you know.
No one's going to listen if you do that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but no, I love this stuff. I'm very passionate about. I was very excited for this chat because I was doing my research all day. I'm a grad student, so I was
Yeah.
like, man, I'm so excited to talk about. I also work with all men, so I'm like, I'm really excited to talk about girls who code. You have no idea. So this is a very nice
Well, I'm glad. I mean,
transition.
I could tell. Like, it took us about 4 seconds of meeting to be like, oh yeah, yeah, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be good.
We're gonna work together. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is so much fun.
it's
Yeah.
amazing.
And I really appreciate you for expanding our platform because I really enjoy talking about girls who code. I love how you support mission. When you told me about the story of you bringing in Raspberry Pis for young girls
Yeah,
to build their own boards, that is literally so cool because I didn't do that until I think college. And so seeing young girls do that now is actually such a dream being fulfilled for me. Like it heals my inner child to know that future generations are gonna have access to that.
you're creating future pretty scientists.
Exactly. Pretty scientists who are going to be excited for nail polish and data science at the same time. I'm very
So
excited.
good. I love this.
Yes.
Well, Jude, thank you for being here with us. Again, this is Innocent Lives Foundation Fireside Chat. We do this every month. You can find out more with all the information that's on the screen. I also put everything in chat, so if anybody needs to copy pasta, it's over in the chat for you. But I want to thank you for being here with us. Uh, the Innocent Lives Foundation, we are a nonprofit and we are a non-vigilante organization that identifies anonymous online child predators, develops and delivers specialized training for law enforcement, and provides educational resources for parents, teachers, and guardians. You can find out more at innocentlivesfoundation.org, and you can find out more about Girls Who Code at girlswhocode.com. So, thanks for being with me today. Uh, I'm gonna hit. I'm gonna end the stream, but I definitely want to hang out for a couple more minutes and just chat like we always do.
Of
And
course. Thank you so much for having me, though.
absolutely. So thanks for being
I'll be
here,
here.
and we'll see everybody on the next stream. Oh, April 18th, ILF Fest. Don't miss it. It's our virtual fundraiser. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be beyond the star, among the stars, beyond the stars, among the stars. I don't know. It's in the social media posts. So thanks everybody.